Lalaking napalo ng bakal sa kanyang ulo. Phineas Gage had a hole in his head, and everyone knew that he ought to be dead. Was it fate or blind luck? Though it never came clear, kept keepin on year after year. Ang kantang ito galing kay famous banjo man Dan Lidner. Probably sounds like an outlandish myth. Kumbaga parang old wives' tale passed around a small village. Pero hindi nyo akalain na incredibly, totoo pala ang jaunty tune na ito. To that note, ang video natin ngayon ay tungkol sa story ni railway man Phineas Gage, the man who survived with a hole in his head. Yes, tama ang inyong tenga. Si Phineas Gage did have a hole in his head, a 2 cm diameter hole in fact. Pero against all conceivable odds at known logic and science, dapat patay na siya. Pero sa halip na mamatay siya directly, his remarkable story ay nagtulong sa process sa field ng neuroscience and changed the way doctors view the central nervous system entirely. So sit back and relax as we tell you the amazing medical story of Phineas Gage, the man with a hole in his head. Siguraduhin niyo to watch until the end para malaman niyo kung anong nangyari sa kanya pagkatapos ng kanyang accident. Now let's get on with the video. Si Phineas Gage ay isinilang noong July 1823 sa New Hampshire, US. Ang kadalasang tinutukoy ay ang pinaka-famous patient in the history of neuroscience. Nag-experience siya ng traumatic brain injury sa kanyang trabaho as a railroad foreman when an iron rod was driven and lodged sa kanyang skull at nag-demolish sa buong frontal lobe niya. Gage, being the hard-knocked New Hampshire man he was raised to be, amazingly survived ang dapat fatal na accident na yon. Subalit ayon sa kanyang mga friend and family, ang kanyang personality ay nagbago significantly and he was described as an entirely different person. Phineas Gage's accident. Little is known tungkol sa early life ni Phineas Gage aside that isinilang siya into a family of every farmers and spent ang entire childhood niya in a farm in the middle of New Hampshire. At some point ng kanyang buhay, nag-apply siya as a construction worker sa railways at mamaya na-promote siya to railroad foreman under the employment ng mga contractors na naghahanap na nagtatrabaho para sa Rutland and Burlington Railway Company. Kasama sa daily duty ni Phineas ay ang pag-clear at pagbiyak ng mga malalaking bato around the railway hanggang ground level na sila with the tracks. Ang simple-sounding task na ito involved placing an explosive charge deep within the rocks sa pamamagitan ng pag-drill ng malalim na butas sa exterior nito. Pagkatapos ng drilling process, ang butas na yun ay pinuno ng napakaraming gunpowder para siguraduhin na mabiyak ang bato. Standard procedure din maglagay ng buhangin above the rocks para maging buffer sa raw explosive force ng gunpowder at mag-prevent din ng contact sa mga flying debris na dulot ng explosion. Si Gage naman ay isa sa mga pinaka-efficient at safety-oriented na manggagawa. Ayon sa kanyang mga peers, he diligently did his work at sinigurado din niya ang lahat ng safety protocols or what passed as safety protocols sa time na yun were followed to the letter. Every day, minimaintain niya ang kanyang tools, protective gear, at ang kanyang heavy-duty work boots para ma-weather niya ang kahit anong bagyo o kahirapan na present sa kanyang trabaho. Hindi exaggeration na sabihin natin na medyo siyang inclination para sa kanyang personal safety, which we all should have anyway. Sa contemporary society natin ngayon, we might even consider him as one of the people na merong OCD dahil sa kanyang diligence sa pag-maintain ng kanyang equipment at ang pag-follow niya sa safety protocols. Ngunit sa hapon ng September 13, 1848, malapit sa Cavendish, Vermont, pagkatapos lang sa pag-tamper ni Gage sa buhangin gamit lang ang kanyang tamping rod na parang mataas na stick na may malapad na pamalo sa dulo, which measured 3.58 feet in length at 2.25 inches in diameter, biglang sumabog ang nakatambak na gunpowder sa loob ng bato. Ang tamping rod niya, which was his livelihood tool, ay naging sibat na nakatusok sa kanyang ulo and continued to go completely through his entire head. Ang 6 kilogram na rod na yan entered Gage's head just below sa kanyang left cheekbone at nag-exit sa top ng kanyang skull. Anyway, miraculously, si Gage ay nag-survive sa traumatic accident na yan despite his seemingly fatal injury. Hindi makapaniwala na pwede pa siyang magsalita at gumalaw na parang walang nangyari even moments after the accident. But wait, there's more. Si Gage ay hindi lang nag-survive sa accident na yon, pero he walked. Yes, he walked to a nearby railroad station para mag-usap sa mga emergency crewmen to bring him into town to see a doctor. Just imagine ang look of surprise sa mga EMTs noon when nakita sila si Phineas Gage na may malaking butas sa kanyang ulo. Nagsabi din si Gage na ayaw nga niya magpakita sa kanyang friends at workmates dahil anyway, babalik daw naman siya in a day or two. Pero mga ilang araw lang pagkatapos ng accident, nag-develop siya ng infection. Gage then spent September 23 hanggang 3 ng October in a semi-comatose state. Nag-note ang kanyang attending physician na alam ni Phineas ang date at oras even after sa kanyang accident. He also remembered clearly kung paano nangyari ang aksidente, but nahirapan siya mag-estimate at mag-calculate ng size at amount ng pera. Within a month, Gage was well enough para lumabas ng bahay. At sa umaga ng October 7, he took his first step palabas ng kanyang bed and nagsimula siyang mag-jog at maglakad para ma-maintain ang capacity ng kanyang muscles. And by October 11, ang kanyang lost intellectual functions began to improve. Effects after the accident. Sa mga buwan pagkatapos ng kanyang aksidente, si Gage ay umuwi pabalik sa bahay ng kanyang mga magulang para mag-recuperate. When bumisita ang doktor niya sa kanya the following year, nag-note siya na habang nawala ang sense of sight ni Gage sa kanyang left eye at may mga obvious scars siya dulot ng aksidente, he was still in overall good physical health and he appeared to have recovered sa kanyang wounds. Ayon sa mga accounts ng mga friends at family ni Phineas Gage tungkol sa kanyang behavior pagkatapos ng accident, they previously described him as energetic, motivated, at shrewd prior sa kanyang accident. Pero pagkatapos ng kanyang accident, ang karamihan sa kanyang mga acquaintances ay nagsabi na he was no longer Gage. Similarly, nagsabi din ang kanyang nanay na nagsimula siyang mag-embellish and even outright make up stories ng kanyang mga adventures para lang makuha ang admiration ng kanyang audience. Ang fact na ito, coupled with his behaviors na napansin din sa mga patients undergoing 1930s brain surgery, seemed to be in line sa transformation ni Gage into an untruthful, short-tempered, psychopathic braggart. Now, ang mga records at research sa mga lobotomized patients sa time na yon is undeniably ang source ng description ni Gage as a careless, unreliable, and slovenly sa kanyang personal habits and even having less drive pero less inhibition sa kanyang pagsalita in regards to sex. Popular reports sa kanyang psyche ay kadalasan nagdidepict sa kanyang post-accident as a changed man, suggesting na ang kanyang injury ay nag-transform sa kanya into a surly, aggressive alcoholic who was unable to hold down a job. Pero dahil walang significant evidence ng exact extent sa personality change ni Gage, mahirap mag-estimate kung gaano talaga ka-damage ang kanyang isip. Ang mga accounts ng kanyang mga doctor niya noon suggest na ang injury ni Gage did lead to a loss of social inhibition. Ibig nitong sabihin na mas confident siya, leading him to behave in ways na pwede nating sabihin na inappropriate. Gage's influence in history. A miraculous and mysterious case ni Phineas Gage had a tremendous influence on early neurological studies. Ang specific changes na naobserbahan sa kanyang behavior pointed to emerging theories tungkol sa localization ng brain functions at ang effect nito sa ating personality, or the idea na ang mga specific functions ng ating kaisipan are associated with specific areas ng ating brain. Ang mga doctors noon ay nag-theorize based sa kanilang research sa potential level of damage ang nasustain ni Gage sa kanyang white at gray matter dahil sa kanyang injury. For reference lang mga viewers, ang white matter refers to tissue deep within the brain na nagpo-provide ng vital connective features around the brain essential para sa normal na motor at sensory function. Ang gray matter naman ay essential to many areas of higher learning kagaya ng language, speech, memory retention, and deep thought. At ang main concentration ng white at gray matter na ito ay located sa ating frontal cortex. In today's contemporary society, ang mga scientists natin better understand ang role that our frontal cortex has to play sa ating important higher order brain functions kagaya ng reasoning, language, at social cognition. Sa mga taon na yon where neurology was at its infancy, ang extraordinary story ni Phineas Gage serves as one of the first sources ng evidence na ang frontal lobe natin ay involved sa formation ng ating personality. Life after the accident. Pagkatapos ng kanyang accident, since Gage was unable to return to his previous job, according sa kanyang relatives, Gage spent time traveling through New England and even Europe habang dinadala niya ang kanyang tamping iron and telling his story sa mga curious onlookers to earn money. Supposedly, nag-appear din siya sa Barnum American Museum sa New York. After his popularity died down, nagtrabaho siya briefly in a livery stable sa New Hampshire and even spent 7 years bilang stagecoach driver sa Chile. Eventually, pumunta siya sa San Francisco to live with his mother as nag-deteriorate ang kanyang health. Noong namatay si Phineas Gage sa 1861, walang autopsies ang nag-perform sa kanyang bangkay dahil ang brain damage which caused his significant personality changes were presumed na dahil lang sa involved trauma sa left frontal region ng kanyang brain. Pero 7 years later pagkatapos ng kanyang death, ang katawan ni Gage was exhumed sa kanyang grave and his skull and tamping rod were taken. Talk about grave robbery! Ngayon, ang dalawang items na yon ay nakadisplay sa Harvard University School of Medicine. Ang accident ni Phineas Gage at ang kanyang subsequent experiences pagkatapos noon serve as historical examples sa significant ng case studies in looking for unique situations that cannot be replicated sa loob ng lab. Well, with all that human test subjects being banned sa general medical sciences at labs, sadyang rare lang talaga makakita and maka-observe ng ganitong klaseng medical marvel. Basically, it happens even rarer than once in a blue moon. What we'll learn today ay ang accident ni Gage played an important role sa early days ng neurology and helped scientists gain a better understanding sa ating human brain at ang impact ng damage sa frontal lobe could have on both function and behavior. At yan ang story natin for today. If you like what we had to say, please leave a comment and tell us kung anong next story ang gusto nyong gawin natin. Thanks for watching and God bless!